Okay, guys, so today we're going to take a look at the election process here in the United States and kind of see how it all plays out in different ways. All right. Well, what's the difference between congressional elections and presidential elections? Well, basically, they're the same thing. Okay. They go through the same general steps. A candidate announces their candidacy. The party candidates are selected in the primary system, where they go against one another. The parties campaign against one another, that being the Democrats and the Republicans, and then the officials are chosen in a general election. So Congress, president, that's the exact same. That's the exact same procedure. There are some differences, though, that go on. Congressional elections are regional, whereas presidential elections, of course, are national. House elections tend to be less competitive. In a smaller district, smaller area, there aren't as many people who go up to challenge, and it's harder to beat an incumbent because they have the name recognition in a small area. Fewer people vote for Congress, so that when you have a midterm election, when there's not a president up for election, then you have fewer people turn out, drastically fewer. Congress or people from Congress tend to have more contact with their constituents, so they can go through and talk about, like, hey, I did this for you and I did this for you, which is harder to do for the president on a real national level. And then, of course, congressmen or women, being one member in a large body, can deny responsibility for any problem. The president is held responsible for the economy, the president is held responsible for foreign policy, all of that. But if you're running for the Senate or if you're running for the House of Representatives for re-election, you can sit back and say, you can't blame me for this because I'm one of just a whole lot of people. So it does insulate these people a little bit. So what's the road to the presidency? It's presidential elections that draw the most attention on the AP exam. And so let's go through the basic procedures here. First of all, there's the process of deciding to announce. Oftentimes, possible presidential candidates will even go out and try and run polls and things to see how they might do, how voters might react to them. And then decide whether it's worth starting a campaign or not. They're going to assess the support. They'll usually start doing some sort of campaigning prior to announcing, unofficial, maybe I'm running, maybe I'm not, maybe I'll travel to Iowa and New Hampshire and see how things look out there, and once everybody's announced, then we get into the primary season. And primaries are held in one form or another, are held in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the U.S. territories. The very first primary is in New Hampshire. They have it as law as, like, hey, we're going to be the very first. And the last ones are all done by June of that year. New Hampshire is usually early January. So over that period of time, candidates within the same party are going to run against one another. Now, this is going to get kind of ugly sometimes, because sometimes these people are going to try and do everything they can to knock down the opposition and create themselves the last one. Democrats have proportional representation at the convention. So, you don't really need to know a lot about delegates at the convention for the AP exam, to be honest with you. But the Democrats tend to proportion them out. The Republicans have some states that are winner take all. Now, this is all kind of a moot point, because when we get to the actual convention, you go and like, there's only one person left. So if you look at the difference, the Democrats, yeah, hey, you win 15% of the vote in New Hampshire, then you get 15% of the delegates. Republicans, they're all over the place. So some states are winner take all, some states are proportional, and then lots of states, the delegates don't even have to do what the people have told them to do. But again, this is an elimination contest. So by the time the convention really comes around, pretty much everyone but one candidate has completely dropped out of the race. These are in late summer. That's where they do the formal nomination, where each state walks up and, even though there's one person left, they're all going to take their moment and throw their support behind that person. So why do they matter? Well, it is a place to put out the party platform. And this is the statement of how the party feels on different issues. More and more, that party platform is less driven by the party leaders and more driven by the presidential candidate. It's really important to show party unity. Here we all are on TV. We're wearing our funny hats. We're waving our flags. We're all behind whoever it is that we've nominated. And they highlight the candidates. They really go through a number of days, you know, the background of the candidate's life. You hear from the candidate's wife or maybe sometime in the future husband. You hear other people talk about them, you know, and it all kind of culminates with the big speech of the candidate. It's really a big pep rally is what it is. And it lasts for 4 days, and big people in the party go and have a good time, you know? So here's Barack Obama at the Democratic National Convention accepting the nomination of his party for president. And then we go into the general election. This is from the 2008 election with Barack Obama and John McCain going against one another. And they actually spend more money in the general election than they do in the primaries, which is, I mean, we're talking about a ton of money here. And it becomes more and more expensive every single year. What also tends to happen is that candidates move to the middle of the political spectrum. Very extreme Republicans are going to vote for the Republican every time. They're not voting for Obama. And so John McCain or Mitt Romney or whoever doesn't have to be as conservative in the general election as they might be in the primary when they're trying to win those Republican voters. Likewise, Barack Obama didn't have to be as liberal in the general election because real strong liberals are not going to vote for a Republican. So what they're trying to do in the general election is to get the votes of people who are undecided, and that's really going to do it. TV debates have been important since the first televised debate in 1960, JFK versus Nixon, a very famous debate in which Nixon came off looking kind of, not so good. Although viewership of TV debates has been on decline for a number of years. All right. What do elections do? Well, the elections provide a mandate. So a mandate being like, here's how the people are. You know, when FDR was elected in 1932 at the depths of the Depression, he came in and he said, look, the people have decided that they want a change and they want something done about it. And that's what I'm here to do. All right. So basically it works like this. A candidate in the campaign puts forth a plan for the country. Like, here's what I'd like to do with taxes. Here's what I'd like to do with foreign policy, whatever it may be. The people then go out and vote, and the winner will get more votes in most cases than the person who doesn't win, the loser. And so this is translated as a message that the people approve of the plan of the president. That's what we call the mandate. Now, the mandate typically doesn't last very long. There's a honeymoon period early in a presidential term where they have the ability to really get something done by saying, hey, the people voted for me, you know? So the office holder then has a mandate. That's the theory behind it, okay? We're going to get into that again soon. So how do people decide who to vote for? This is on every AP exam, the number one reason, the number one determinant is party identification. You'll see it maybe as partisanship. People vote for the candidates based on their party. Lots of people are uninformed. Some people are very strong on one side or another. They're going to vote with the same party every single time, okay? More and more we see image voting. Voting for candidates based on maybe how they look or how they act or how they come off on television. I like this guy, I'm going to vote for him kind of thing. There are some people who vote based on issues. And usually when you have policy voting, if you stand with a party on most things, then you're going to be a party identification. But policy voting, if you have one thing that really matters to you, then that's what you're going to vote. All right. Next video, we're going to take a look at the Electoral College. All right. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.